Hello. Let me give you the Island Shaka. Charles Prinzen, aka Coach Chuck, your locker room coach in this game of life. Today, I want to talk about a game plan, changing the game plan of generational cycles of negativity passed down from generation to generation to generation until it's broken, or is it going to continue? And I'm going to say that on behalf of the fact that I lived in a life of abuse, domestic violence, suicide, incarceration, abandonment for 13 years from my stepdad until I ran away at 16. And through that time period of being abused, watching my mother be abused at the highest level, I didn't think anything about it. I lived my life. I mean, I dealt with the abuse, the extensive, at the highest level abuse that you can think of. I endured. At the age of 3 years old, I was severely beaten by my stepdad because I accidentally peed on him, and it triggered him to where he beat me severely. The police came, took me away, put me in a safe home, and they incarcerated him, only to give me back 6 months later for 13 years of the abuse until I ran away at 16 years old and was adopted. It doesn't stop there because as I was living my life doing what I was doing, I still had something, an invisible ugly that I was not aware I had. I just living my life as a teenager, as a young adult, going to work on the docks, making my money. And then around 26 years old, I found myself becoming abusive, not just to a stepdaughter, stepfather, abusive, me and a stepdaughter, many years later, me becoming abusive to where, and I'm not proud of this. My job as Coach Chuck, your locker room coach, is to help you change your game plan so that you can move forward in a positive way and move those chains of positivity in this life. So this particular topic is very, very close to me based on life experience, the playing fields that I actually played on. So I became domestic violent. And one day, my stepdaughter triggered me and I threw her against the wall. Her mom came in yelling and screaming, and I was triggered again, and I put my hand on her. I slapped her. And then there was a pause. Because how can I, with what I went through in my life, the ugly, and again, at the highest level, how could I be doing what I'm doing? It just was not right. And I went and sought help. Have you ever heard you sound just like your father? Or you act just like your mother? Well, how about if you were raised by your grandparents or aunties and uncles, and you were in an environment, a home, and there was negativity in that home? Well, I'm here to tell you that if you lived in a negative environment and you're doing things right now that you are asking yourself, how could I have just done that based on how I was raised? You need to go seek help, as I did. I went and sought help. And the psychologist looked at me and he says, after listening to my story, he says, you have traits. And I said, excuse me? Can you explain that to me a little bit more in detail? Because I don't understand what you're saying. What is a trait? And he says, well, a trait is something that you pick up from the environment that you live in. And I said, okay. And he said, your stepdad is coming out in you, which means all those years that I was in that environment, traits attached themselves to me. And I didn't even know it. I just lived my life until the ugly came out. And so as soon as he told me my stepdad was coming out in me, I cut the line. And I started making some changes in my own personal game plan. So yesterday I was doing some research, and I want to talk a little bit about what I found. For many years, I told people that I had PTSD. I got triggered by things. Are you listening, or are you hearing that there's a possibility that there are things that happen in your life based on your childhood, the environment that you lived in? Because children are sponges of the environment that they live in. And those traits or cycles will attach themselves. Hey, what about Christmas, New Year's, Thanksgiving, Halloween, Easter, the tooth fairy? Those are positive things in an environment of positivity. Well, then you have the dark side. So little did I know, not only did I realize, because I found out and became aware that I had traits. Little did I know that the reason why I was acting the way that I was acting is I had PTSD from childhood experiences. So yesterday I was doing some research, and I actually found out that I don't have PTSD, because PTSD is a single traumatic moment in your life, so traumatic that it causes you to have nightmares and continue to think about that. I have complex CPTSD, complex, which is complex is something that has happened over a period of time. I'll read it right here. Exposure to family violence, including marital aggression and physical child abuse, over a long period of time. And if you were in that environment, there is a strong possibility that you are doing the same thing that your parents did or their parents did. I can go back generational cycles of dysfunctionality, where my father was 86 years old when he passed away, and he never in his life saw his father. My father wasn't in my life for many, many years. He came back into my life. One of my daughters, the same way. She was not in my life, came back into my life. And however, grandchildren were aware of it. And my great grandchildren know their great great grandfather. He was able to hold his great great grandchildren before he passed away, and not just enjoyed the fact that he was able to hold them and give them love, the fact that cycle, that generational cycle of dysfunctionality, family not knowing family, was broken. So through the course of the years, I've learned how to break those cycles. And I want to say that I'm grateful for Global Speakers Talk giving me this opportunity. Not only this opportunity, but on December the 19th, I will be having another opportunity to talk about family, relationships, and love. So I invite you to join me and over 100 speakers December the 19th. So I hope that it's 15 minutes of fame, or 15 minutes of acknowledgement, or bringing awareness to something that people don't really talk about. I was just having a conversation with a very beautiful person not too long ago, and she said, this is just not a topic that people talk about. You're right. Why? Because a lot of us go through our life not realizing that we have these traits that attach themselves to us sometime in that time period, that we have no idea they're there until they become active. Like that day that I was abusive to my stepdaughter and to my significant other. So I just want to say thank you again to Global Speakers Talks Live for this opportunity, because this is something that needs to be addressed. Can you imagine how different this world would be if we could clean up some of the things that we're not even aware that's happening, and we're going out into that world? It's almost like a veteran coming back from the military that had been into a war. People ask me, how did I know I had PTSD? Was I in a war? No. Was I a EMT where I've seen horrific things medically? No. What about a police officer where you did out and went out and did things and saw things? No. How do you know you have PTSD? Well, at that time, I thought I had PTSD, but I've since found out that I had CPTSD, complex, a long period of time living in an environment. Again, if I didn't say it, I'm going to repeat. Children are sponges of the environment that they live in. It is the foundation of who they will become as they grow. Another one that I looked up is talking about going from childhood to adolescence. So if you had a childhood of negativity, then as you got older, you became an adolescent. That means you were carrying it, and then you were carrying into your adulthood. So again, bringing awareness to generational cycles of negativity is something that I believe is in the now. Veterans come back from war, they have PTSD, they have traumatic experiences from the environment that they lived in. And there are certain things that will trigger them in their life. So I apologize. I'm trying to do two things at once. I'm not a techie, so this is live. Again, having the opportunity to talk about bringing awareness to generational cycles or traits. And I'm grateful to have been given this opportunity to bring this platform to the stage. And not only, I'm glad this was brought up. Let me talk about this real quick. I have coached sports for over 50 years. Sports kept me out of trouble. Sports and coaches and school counselors, teachers, admin had a big part of changing my lifestyle. If it wasn't for sports, I don't know where I'd be, because sports kept me off the streets and sports kept me away from the troubled life that I lived until I ran away at 16 years old. So I got out of high school in 1974. I graduated from Long Beach Poly. In 1975, I had my first coaching job as a head basketball coach for 12 and under boys recreation, and it never stopped. I have young men and young women that are playing in the NFL and D1 colleges, running for mayor of Compton, doctors, lawyers, police officers. I am grateful to be able to have passed my experience on to, and even tell my stories. Every single one of these people that I've touched, or these players that I've touched in my lifetime, still tell stories of the stories that we talked about of life. Good coaches coach X's and O's. Great coaches coach life. And that's why I am Coach Chuck, your locker room coach in this game of life, because I want to change your defensive mindset to offense. Defensive mindset is that you're going to put that defensive mechanism up every time you feel attacked, or that maybe somebody might be being in your space that you don't want. You put up that defensive mechanism. And a lot of us that suffered through those traits or that childhood, we had a very good defense. But I've learned over the years how to change from defense to offense, more of love and respect and mannerism and doing good things, random acts of kindness to people out on the street, like homeless people. We should do more of that and get away from that defensive side. So that's pretty much what I have to talk about right now. As a coach, coaches have a game plan, but sometimes that game plan doesn't work and they have to end up ad-libbing. So I hope that in this 15 minutes, I was able to give you some knowledge and some wisdom of how you might be able to break those cycles of dysfunctionality or negative traits.